Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila in Thailand. I'm Alma Angeles. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma. I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. Today on the show, we are privileged to have Mr. Sergio Ortiz Jr., President of the Philippine Exporters Confederation, also the Honorary Chairman of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Anticipating the surge in the number of last-minute filers today, Friday, the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, said it can extend the operations of the venues which process certificates of candidacy, or COCs, and certificates of nomination and acceptance.
And WADA has declared the national anti-doping bodies of North Korea, Thailand, and Indonesia non-compliant, meaning those countries cannot win the right to host major international sports events.
And on October 4, Begimo hosted Brunei Day, time to coincide with the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Russia and Brunei.
And first off, we start out with our special guest for the show. We are privileged to have Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr., the President of the Philippine Exporters Confederation. He's also the Honorary Chairman of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The Philippines and its economy is no exception to the impact of the pandemic. Pre-COVID, the Philippines was one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, with real GDP growth average of 6.3% annually over the 10-year period up to 2019, with private consumption, investment, services as major growth drivers. The Philippines was about to become an upper middle income country in 2020, or 2 years ahead of target. But amid a global recession and because of the pandemic, international border closures at the height of this pandemic, the Philippines' external trade in goods fell by 18.2%. Now, we are so honored to have with us, sir, on this note, the President of the Philippine Exporters Confederation, also, as I said earlier, the Chairman of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alma and the rest.
Yes, sir. Sir, for starters, we would like to ask you, for the benefit of our viewers as well and listeners, please introduce to us PhilExport and its relevance in the Philippine economy and the industry.
Well, PhilExport is the Philippine Exporters Confederation, Inc. No? Used to be two groups before, but because of the demand of the bilateral donors that they would only like to deal with one, we, in 1992 we merged, no, we carried the name PhilExport. No? We were at the time composed of several sectors, 17 sectors, and we had half of the and we have about 9 or 8 cabinet secretaries that sit on our board at the time, no. But now they are mostly they're already represented by some of their other secretaries. So we are represented in major export support councils and committees. The biggest and most important of this is the Export Development Council, the highest export policy-making body in the Philippines. And we have operations that including we're the one who operate the World Trade Center here. We are putting up a big hotel and a condo hotel that will house many of our businessmen. So we are in advocacy, mostly in the issue of the need to be able to bring our exporters as the prime movers of our economy.
Mhm. Mhm. Sir, how challenging is it now to export in this new normal, citing the disturbance brought about by the pandemic? How has the pandemic affected the industry?
Well, it should not be that much actually, because even from the start of the pandemic, the exporters were allowed to operate 100%, no? Including together with the food sector. Unfortunately, it did not happen that way. And until now, many of our exporters, especially the small ones, are operating maybe in 50% capacity in spite of the fact that we are allowed. Uh, because of the other problems brought about by the pandemic, like transportation and distancing and everything on there. So in July, uh, we experienced a resuscitation of our export. With our export before the pandemic, our target was quite big, but we were affected, so we had to draw down the export target. But in July, our exports started climbing to 12.7%, to $6.42 billion. All commodity groups uh, registered positive growth rates during the period, except for, I think, machinery and transport equipment, which lagged a 5.4% decline. Coconut oil performed best among the groups with an annual 207% growth rate. China, as the Philippines' top major trading partner in July, after being overtaken again by US in June, uh, other major importers were Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore.
Mhm. Mhm. You mentioned earlier transportation was affecting all these. What particular factors do you think are affecting the Philippine export industry, and what policy reforms are being implemented now to ensure the sustainability of this performance?
Well, we are focusing actually in trying to go back and attract foreign direct investment, no? That will invest in the export industry, because we are trying to improve the ease of cost and cost of doing business in the context of the pandemic. Policies and laws are being developed to implement towards a responsive, sustainable health system, coupled with continuing programs to facilitate skills and industry upgrade toward the fourth industrial revolution, and other requirements brought about by global changes in trading environment due to the pandemic.
Mhm. Mhm. I noticed that the major export buyers are still from Asia. Is this a deliberate strategy? And
Well,
for what reasons? Can you tell us?
definitely it's by necessity it became a strategy, simply because one of the biggest problems now is the shipping cost, and therefore it behooves us to try and, if necessary, to the nearer destinations of our export, no? So we can save on cost. Especially now, it's not only the shipping cost that is a problem. We are also experiencing, I think, everywhere else in the world, experiencing shortage of bottoms or ships because many of the shipping lines is stopped because of the pandemic. Not all of them are going back to operation. Many of our, the seafarers, many are coming from the Philippines. No? Many of them were laid off also. A lot of the shipping lines are still waiting to see whether it will be worthwhile already to start running their ships again. No? And because of the shortage, what is happening is that richer countries, like the vaccines, are able to capture the ships first. And we are the last one because of our smaller volume. So we have now exporters who are having a problem of 2 months already to be shipping the products, and there are no ships. So we are trying to find out ways to be able to do this thing. No? Also, the free trade agreement we have with ASEAN and other countries is facilitating the tariff-free movements of goods, services, and people, and investments that are good for partners involved. But at the same time, being FTAs require that we continuously sharpen our competitiveness, because otherwise our competitiveness, we will just be opening the floodgates for imports while our exports suffer due to weak supply and value chain.
Mhm. You mentioned FTAs, and I would like to focus on RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Partnership Agreement. What is Phil Exports and industry position on RCEP?
Some people are having mixed reaction to RCEP, no? But now we're beginning to appreciate that we have to really adapt it and and use it well. No? Right now, the Philippines already benefits from lower tariffs when it exports to Japan, South Korea, and China.
Okay.
But the mega trade deal will also allow these three countries to have preferential access to each other's market. The problem that some exporters see are the other markets might have more to export to us than for us to export to them. No, but PIDS, the Philippine Institute of Development Studies, they identified the Philippines to be one of the top gainers from this RCEP agreement, along with
How is that,
Vietnam,
sir? Yes.
mainly due to the lower trade cost. RCEP will also be critical because it provides a more secure framework with a rules-based approach to global value chain crisscrossing Asia and the Pacific region. As mentioned earlier, as RCEP member, the Philippines has been able to secure improved tariff concessions for many of its products exported to China, Japan, and South Korea. In China, we will have better tariff rates for products like preserved pineapples, pineapple juice, coconut juice, diesel oil, self-adhesive paper, and printed papers, among others. In Japan, good market access has been gained for products like fish fillet, pineapple,
Yes.
coffee, canned salmon, chocolate, mixture of preserved fruits,
Uh-huh.
prepared oyster and mussel, leather goods, gloves, and footwear. In Korea, markets are open for several Filipino export products, including dried salted tilapia, cheddar cheese, fresh papaya, fresh durian, soya bean oil, canned tuna, garments, and bicycles. The Philippines has a strong leather industry and can potentially supply the leather good market in Japan. There is also a good market in both Japan and South Korea for high-end coffee and chocolate products just waiting to be tapped.
Uh, Picking up from this point, other than market access, do you see any other opportunities from RCEP that can benefit the whole economy and the region, especially in the context of this pandemic?
Well, because of the overall reduced domestic capacity in most countries affected by the pandemic, the other viable option is to increase international trade for more market option. Note that RCEP itself already represents 30% of the world's population, 28% of global GDP, and 28% of total global trade. RCEP provisions such as those on commerce, government procurement, and competition are not found in other FTAs. Further, the trade facilitation chapter provides more definitive and predictable commitments from signatories, providing predictability while allowing changes when it comes to openness and clearance of goods. Another significant RCEP contribution is consolidation of the rules of origin in ASEAN so that an exporter will only need to use one set of rules and RCEP parties will have an easier time to comply with with preferential tariff treatment. The economic impacts of services sector liberalization and trade facilitation improvement in RCEP are likewise much more significant than the tariff reduction offered in other FTAs. Finally, I think amidst the COVID-19 crisis, the FTA is a signal to the world that RCEP countries are committed supporting open markets and promoting trade cooperation as RCEP continues to develop as a regional platform with Asian centrality as its foundation. ASEAN centrality refers to central role of the region the region will play in shaping the regional security architecture, regional order, and power dynamics among external powers with interest in the region.
Sir, just to find out, I'm interested to find out our top exports at the moment and to which countries and regions. You were mentioning some earlier. You just mentioned that, but we are also noted for electronic product exports, aren't we?
Well, electronic product sector is time by time about 50% or more, sometimes even up to 60 of our export products. And they are the ones who are not affected most in this pandemic, except in the earlier part where supplies of some of their parts were lacking because Japan was in problem, US also. But now that we are having problem with shipping cost, no, with bottoms, they are still growing well because they are inured to this problem of lack of ships. Many of our electronics and are by air, so it is not unlike our food products, which is affected by lack of ships. They are not that much affected, so they continue to be the dominant export at the moment.
I guess this pandemic highlighted what supply chain experts have been warning companies about for years. A disruption can happen anywhere, and supply and demand can be affected from thousands of miles away. We are also seeing a couple of trends set to continue beyond the crisis. No, first being the onshoring of supply chains to increase the security of essential goods, and second, the digitization as widely incentivized by governments and becoming a tool for risk control now. Uh, my question, sir, now is what particular lessons did we pick up on trade and export during a global situation like this pandemic?
It became very important that we look at our cost, no? And that the government will see to it that the disruption in the supply chain is minimized. No? Initially, we were not supposed. We theoretically we were not supposed to our export products are not supposed to be problematic regarding checkpoints, regarding but it does not happen that way. There are a lot of LGUs in the provinces where they pass. It's so hard to especially with different quarantine rules in different provinces. It becomes problematic that many times our supply are delayed or are even stopped. No,
Yes,
and
sir.
and even people that are manning these trucks,
Yes.
delivery are having difficulties. So we were able to slowly correct that. But even now, there are still problems coming from that area.
Mhm. That's true. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Sir, any last message for us or people watching you right now?
Well, I guess that, we are having the longest lockdown in the Philippines, in the world, no? And But still, we are not that bad as rated by other countries. I think we're doing our best, and hopefully next year we should be able to recover our economy.
Yes, that's true. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for gracing our show. Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr., the president of the Philippine Exporters Confederation and honorary chairman of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much to you people.
Thank you very much. And ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Araw-araw sa panahon ngayon, may daming tanong kailangan ng tugon. Nandito si Ali at si Papi na rin, ang smart at pretty nanay, ang siglaban ng kwentuhan. Ang sigaw ng Pinoy Nation, information, education. Ating saloobin, ipakita natin ang nagsagot sa problema natin. Ano sa palagay nyo? Ano sa palagay nyo? Ano sa palagay nyo?
Ano sa palagay nyo? Abangan! Simula October 18, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Mapapanood sa Net25 TV, Facebook page and YouTube channel. Mapapakinggan din sa DZEC 1062 at Eagle FM 95.5.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Hindi ka na mauhuli sa latest at what's trending. Kada umaga.
I'm Seth, start, I'm ready. Please watch us on Letters and Music on air and online this coming Saturday, October 9, 1 to 2 p.m. on the here at Net 20. See ya!
Welcome back to the program. Today is the filing of certificates of candidacy for the 2022 Philippine elections. Let's hear more from Erlo Bringas, who is live at the temporary COMELEC Extension Office at Pasay City. Hello, Erlo.
Alam ba nila ang ginagawa nila? Hello Esther, live here at the Pasay City, but today is the last day for the filing of certificate of candidacy for all positions on the national election. Many filers still going here until this hour. From day 1 of COC filing until this hour, the running total of COC is 57 filed for President, 16 is for Vice President, 92 for Senator, and 194 for the party list sector. Some of the known personalities who filed their COCs is Senator Kiko Pangilinan, filed for Vice President accompanied by presidential aspirant and running mate VP Lenny Robredo. And the re-electionist Senator Sherwin Gatchalian also filed COC for the senator post. Former DOJ Secretary Laila De Lima also filed COC for senator, filed by his representative. Former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV also filed for senator post under the Liberal Party. Broadcaster Cabayan Noli de Castro also filed COC for senator. One of his platforms to bring back the franchise of the ABS-CBN network. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said later at 4:45 p.m. they will list the aspirants still in the waiting area. 12:36 p.m. former presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella filed COC also for the presidential post. COMELEC strongly remind all the aspirants that only complete COC will entertain. They will consider incomplete those have no docu-stamp, no signature of the aspirant, not notarized COC, and no signature by the notary public. Exact 5 p.m. later, for those buzzer beater will still entertained by the COMELEC officials, but only who already enter to 30 meters queuing area. Esther, COMELEC strongly reminds the aspirant that November 8 is the last day for the correction, either clerical typo error in the name of the aspirant. October 29, COMELEC will start to post their website the official list of candidates for the 2022 Philippine election. That's the latest here in Pasay City. For Eagle News, Erlo Bringas, we live in interesting times.
And now, a mix and match of the AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccination has been proposed in Thailand. Joining us live is Gladys Piñuela. Hello, Gladys.
Hello, Alma. A combination of AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccine COVID-19 is still under validation to be administered for Thai people. The mix and match for these AstraZeneca and Pfizer has been added in the Disease Control Department's plan without any trial made. As of October 6th report on vaccination in Thailand, Alma, the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation stated that around 33,505,887 or 50.6% of Thailand's population already received the first doses, while 21,595,916 or 32.6% got the second doses, and 1,554,444 or 2.3% done with the third doses. Bangkok still got the highest vaccination rate of 101%, got the first jobs, 54.8% for second, and 4.8% as third jobs. Back to Alma.
All right. Looking forward to that update on that mix and match vaccination. Thank you very much, Gladys, for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Yes, Alma, and have a nice weekend. From Bangkok, Thailand, Gladys Piñuela. We live in interesting times.
The work review panel on cases of deaths in the anti-illegal drugs operations is in full swing. The Philippine Permanent Mission to the United Nations in Geneva made a statement on October 7 during the oral updates by the Higher Commissioner for Human Rights on the Philippines at 48th regular session of the Human Rights Council. The Foreign Service Post said the Department of Justice, or DOJ, is also closely monitoring the preliminary investigation and prosecution of 87 criminal cases lodged against over 100 law enforcement personnel. Since 2016, sanctions were meted out against 18,664 police personnel for various offenses, with 5,151 dismissed from the service. In September 2021 alone, it reported that 7 policemen were charged by the Justice Department with unlawful detention and murder of 6 victims in a fabricated operation early this year. The Philippine Permanent Mission said our institutions and accountability mechanisms are well established and functioning. President Duterte at the UN General Assembly reiterated his unequivocal instructions for the DOJ and PNP, or Philippine National Police, to ensure accountability for all found to have acted beyond bounds during operations. Meanwhile, it underlined the country's commitment to engage the UN and the international community on human rights issues, citing the continuation into Phase 2 of the European Union Governance in Justice Program and the newly launched UN Joint Program, or UNJP, that serves as a model for constructive engagement between a sovereign member of state and the UN. In other news, Vice President Leni Robredo announced on Thursday, October 7, that she would run for president in next year's election. In a Facebook Live on her official page, Robredo said her heart is focused and she is decided, after much reflection, to go for the highest post of the land. Take a look.
Lalaban ako. Lalaban tayo. Inihahain ko ang aking sarili bilang kandidato sa pagkapangulo sa halalan ng 2022. Tatalunin natin ang luma at bulok na klase ng politika. Ibabalik natin sa kamay ng karaniwang Pilipino ang kakayahang magdala ng pagbabago. Panata ko ngayon, ibubuhos ko ng buong-buo ang aking lakas. Hindi lang hanggang sa halalan, kundi hanggang sa mga natitirang araw ko. Para ipaglaban ang Pilipinas ng ating mga pangarap.
Robredo has been under pressure from supporters and opposition groups to join the 2022 presidential race, but she has been well behind the front-runners in opinion polls. Analysts say the even-tempered former Congresswoman could struggle. Her decision comes after her nemesis Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said Tuesday he would run for the top job. Robredo narrowly defeated Marcos Jr. for the nation's second highest office in 2016. Marcos Jr., an ally of Duterte and a defender of the narcotics crackdown that has killed thousands of people, fought a nearly 5-year legal battle challenging the vote, but lost in February when Supreme Court rejected the protest. Marcos Jr. was in second place behind Duterte's daughter Sara in a recent Pulse Asia Research poll, though she has denied plans to run. Robredo was a distant 6th, trailing boxing great Manny Pacquiao and celebrity mayor Francisco Domagozo, who has confirmed that they will seek presidency, and Senator Grace Poe, who has not.
The National Telecommunications Commission is now investigating the illegal use of alert notification services that contained what are widely believed to be narratives favoring presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. because of its pitch for a BBM, the former senator's initials. Now, however, the former senator, through his legal counsel, strongly denied having anything to do with the hijacking of the alert notification services, calling it as a part of a continuing demolition job against him. NTC Deputy Commissioner Edgardo Cabarrio said telcos have reported that the alert message did not originate from their networks. There was also no request that came from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. Now, alert messages are for the exclusive use of the NDRRMC for disasters and emergencies. But last Wednesday, a severe emergency alert suddenly popped out of some people's phones. It did not contain any advisory for some earthquake, storm, or tsunami. However, it contained the initials that Bongbong uses, BBM. The message read, for example, Emergency Alert Severe, buong-buo ang malasakit sa bansa. Buong buhay ang maialay sa taong bayan. Bagong bukas na masagana para sa masa, etc. BBM Pilipinas, hashtag BBM 2022. Now, the former senator is a presidential aspirant.
Anticipating the surge in the number of last-minute filers today, Friday, the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, said it can extend the operations of the venues which process certificates of candidacy, or COCs, and certificates of nomination and acceptance. According to a Business Mirror report and citing COMELEC Resolution 10717, COMELEC spokesman James Jimenez said they can still process the COCs even beyond the 5 p.m. if it is stamped received before the said deadline. At 4:45 p.m. of the last day of the COC filing, the receiving officer shall list the names of the aspirants inside the designated queuing area consecutively while indicating the time of listing. Likewise, at 5 p.m. of the last day, COMELEC will also list down the names of aspirants inside and within 30 meters from the designated queuing area. Jimenez stressed only those with completed COCs will be listed. COCs will be considered incomplete if it has no documentary stamp attached, no signature of the aspirant, not notarized COC, no signature of the notary public, has incomplete address, has no photograph, and a COC not completely filled out. COMELEC will then call out the names of those listed in the order they arrived the filing venue.
In the related news, the Philippine National Police Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar ordered yesterday all unit commanders to start mapping out election security plans in their respective areas of responsibility, as intense political rivalries are expected to heat up at the local level after the filing of COCs, or certificates of candidacy, for the May 2022 national and local elections. Now, PNP data show that almost all election-related violence in the past stemmed from the intense political rivalries of candidates vying for local posts, including clashes among supporters. Eleazar said the PNP is currently reviewing and assessing the areas with a history of election-related violence. Part of the campaign to ensure honest, peaceful, and orderly elections in May next year is the aggressive effort against loose firearms and the accounting of private armed groups in various parts of the country. Meanwhile, the PNP chief said he's satisfied with the election security measures taken over the past 6 days of the filing of COCs and certificates of nomination and acceptance, or CONACs. He reiterated his call to political candidates to discourage their supporters from accompanying them or gathering outside COMELEC offices and other venues to avoid creating super spreader events.
Former Vice President Jejomar Binay was among the personalities that have filed their certificates of candidacy OC on the second to the last day of the filing period at the Sofitel Harbor Garden tent in Pasay City on Thursday, October 7. Binay is running for senator under the United Nationalist Alliance or UNA. While he did not grant an interview with the media after filing his candidacy, Binay issued a press statement. He said, "I have been in public service for more than 30 years. This is what I will offer to our people. We have done a lot for our fellow Filipinos. We can do more, and we should do more." Binay said he will focus on helping those who have been displaced by coronavirus pandemic. Others who also filed their candidacy for the Senate are human rights lawyer Chel Diokno and former Bayan Muna Party List Representative Nery Colmenares. Diokno is representing the Katipunan ng Nagkakaisang Pilipino banner, while Colmenares is running under the Makabayang Koalisyon ng Mamamayan. Diokno, chairman of the Free Legal Assistance Group, participated in May 2019 polls but lost. On the other hand, Colmenares also lost in senatorial race in the 2016 and 2019 elections. He served as representative of Bayan Muna Party List from April 2009 to June 2016.
Now, Phuket has become the first province in Thailand to implement a new injection method of administering a third COVID-19 booster vaccine. Now, this will be under the skin instead of the muscle. The third dose booster shots will be administered as subdermal or subcutaneous injections. Let's find out more from Ian Celada. Ian.
The island of Phuket has kicked off its campaign of administration of booster shot under the skin or subcutaneous method. According to the healthline.com, subcutaneous injection is a method of administering medication under the skin or just into the tissue between the skin and the muscle. The Phuket health officials have decided to put this into practice on September 24 as based on their research, it developed higher rate of immunity and most especially, it carries less side effects. This really sounds interesting as some people had headache, fever or body pain when they received the Sinovac vaccine in June this year. Instead of typical 30 minutes observation of the side effects, this under-the-skin method will be observed only for 10 to 15 minutes following the administration of jab. This method also allows the health officials to maximize the doses of vaccine so they can distribute to many people in the island. According to the Thai news, Phuket is the only province in Thailand with an 80 to 100% vaccination rate, the highest vaccination rate in Thailand, as it's the pilot area for the Phuket Sunbox scheme that welcomes fully vaccinated international tourists.
Katatapos lang po ng vaccine namin para sa booster. So yung proseso ngayon parang ang bilis po na nag-fill out lang tapos dire-diretso na Tapos andun na rin kasing record namin. So parang ngayon wala nang check ng blood pressure, yung mga ganun po. So nung pagdating dun sa vaccine area, mararamdaman mo talaga yung pain nung pagtusok ng injection kumpara sa previous vaccine namin. So thankful din na nagkaroon kami ng ganitong booster.
Kung magpabaksin kayo, mas okay, more safe sa kahit saan ka magpunta. Tapos, makakuha ka ng book, you can travel everywhere, punta ka, walang problema. Kahit dito sa buong Thailand, easy.
During this COVID battle, staying safe and protecting ourselves will be the most important decision that we can make for us, for our families, and the society. Reporting from Phuket, Thailand, this is Ian Silada, and we live in interesting times.
On October 4, Megimo hosted Brunei Day, time to coincide with the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Russia and Brunei. The event consisted of two parts: a roundtable diplomacy of art and the art of diplomacy, as well as the grand opening of the exhibition of a foreign honorary member of the Russian Academy of Arts, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of State of Brunei Darussalam to Russian Federation, Mr. Hayini Hashima. The Vice Director of Megimo for Scientific Work, A.A. Bekov, the author of the exhibition, Ambassador of Brunei to Russia, K.H. Kashim, as well as the Ambassador of Russia to Brunei, V.B. Goncharenko, addressed the participants with welcoming words. The roundtable participants raised such topics as the role of cultural ties in the development of relations between Russia and Southeast Asia, support of creative community from diplomatic missions, and in general, cultural institutions from the state, the peculiarities of cultural space of Southeast Asia, and the complexity of work in this direction, and the popularization of achievements of representatives of these countries in field of art.
As always, thank you, Esther, for keeping me company today. Have a great weekend.
Always my pleasure, Alma, and happy weekend to everyone. And that's the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Thank you for joining us today here on ASEAN in Focus. I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And special shout out to Brother Waylon Regalado. Hello po. Thank you for watching and supporting us. And I'm Alma Angeles. We'll see you back next week. Same time, same place. Here on ASEAN in Focus. We live in interesting times.